By now, you have probably heard every possible grade for the Dallas Cowboys 2023 draft class. But tonight, the question that we will try to answer is what will the role be for every one of these draft picks? And we will also talk about two undrafted free agents in particular that the Cowboys paid with capital letters. So we'll get into all of that. It's also a Tuesday. So it is time for the one cool thing of the week as well. Let's get into it. Thank you for joining the show. Here we go. What is up, everyone, and welcome into A to Z Sports Dallas Primetime. I am your host, Mauricio Rodriguez, streaming with you live every Sunday through Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central here on Dallas On Demand Sports Talk Network with a lot more content coming your way. Make sure that you check out a2csports.com/Dallas. And as always, remember that Primetime is brought to you by our friends over at FreemanMazda.net. We will talk more about them and the ride of the week in a few moments here on the show. But before we do any of that, though, there's a question that we have to answer on tonight's show. You could call it 8 separate questions because we're going to go draft pick by draft pick to try to answer the question of what will the role be. In other words, we are predicting their roles specifically for the 2023 NFL season. Because the draft class, it's always the bloodline of an NFL team. You need to hit on your draft picks because most of the time they're going to make about half of your team, like including the guys that are no longer rookies. Like at all times, NFL teams had around a 50% of draft picks in their roster building. So we're going to leave the future out of the equation and we're going to focus on 2023. Just 2023, how are these rookies going to fare for the Cowboys? And let me tell you, the expectations should be high. Last year, the Cowboys had the rookie class that played the fourth most snaps in the entire NFL. Yeah, that's the number. Fourth most snaps in the entire NFL as rookies. And then since 2020, Cowboys have had the second most snaps played by rookies in each year. So that is going back to first year for Mike McCarthy. So we will break it down a little bit tonight. We will talk about all of these guys. And then we will also get into two undrafted free agents in particular that the Cowboys signed. And you know how it goes here on Primetime. We follow the money. So those two undrafted free agents, in my opinion, are the players to watch that could make the roster, the 53-man roster. So let's see what you guys have to say in the chat. Let me say hi really quickly. Shout out to Blue Dabs and Gregory. They were having some fun before the show. Joey Bella, Holly, thank you for joining the show as well. Gilbert, who else is around here? We've got Bruce. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining the show. By the way, do me a favor and hit the like button. Share the stream. If you enjoy what you're watching, that thumbs up helps me a lot because every thumbs up puts this show in front of more and more Cowboys fans. So if you can go ahead and do that, that helps me out a lot. So let's start with the first round draft pick for the Dallas Cowboys. And my question from me to you in the chat is a simple one. Are you going over or under 50% of the snaps for first round draft pick Mazi Smith out of Michigan, the defensive tackle? Are you going over or under? Let me know in the chat, and let's give you my predicted role for Mazi Smith. I mean, you already know he's a nose tackle, and I think he's going to start for the Cowboys, period. However, I personally, I'm going under the 50% mark just because, again, he is a nose tackle. And we talked about it on Sunday. We talked about Mazi Smith maybe taking some plays off when he was at Michigan and how he played 45 snaps per game when he was with the Wolverines. That's a very high number in the NFL. You don't see a lot of that. And the Cowboys still have Jonathan Hankins. So I kind of feel like even though I love the pick, I kind of feel like they're going to split a lot of the playing time. I think he's going to be the starter. I mean, Will McClay said it in the war room. He is an immediate starter for them. That's how they look at Mossy. But I can see them splitting the playing time quite a lot. And then again, he is a nose tackle. So that means he's not going to be very involved in obvious passing situations, even less so from what we have learned from Dan Quinn over the last couple of years. He likes to get on those NASCAR fronts. He likes to get 4 defensive ends after the quarterback in 3rd and long, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 11. He likes to do that. And even in non-third downs, he will do that. So I'm gonna go with a lower number than expected. I'm gonna go with a number close to the 40% mark for Massey Smith, but with him being the starting nose tackle. That's where I'm going. Let's see what you guys have to say though in the chat. Gregory goes with over. House Nelson goes with under. Over for Katharina. Rolando says 23 watching and there's only 6 likes. Yeah, we're about 40 something percent. Excuse me, 40 something people combining. Or that's climbing up to 50 now between Facebook and YouTube. Let's get that number up, man. Let's get those likes up. It's May 2nd and the Yankees. Oh man, there's Yankees hate over in the chat. Hey, watch this though. Watch this. I got my T-shirt with me. Gregory says 64%. Oh, Anthony goes with slightly over. 64%, though, is a pretty high number. Like, is Jonathan Hankins going to be a healthy scratch continuously? And hey, that's a fair question, I would say. Like, what is the plan with your nose tackles? Are you going to have 2 active game day nose tackles? Pretty intrigued about that one. Anyways, moving on a little bit here on the show, let's get to the second round draft pick, and that would be Luke Schoonmaker. Let me know in the chat, truth or false, Luke Schoonmaker is going to be the Cowboys starter at tight end, not week 1, for the majority of the season, though. Like, when the season is over, who's going to be the real Cowboys starter of the season? Who's going to have more starts throughout the entire campaign? Who's going to earn the job midway through the season? That's my question for me to you. Is it true or false? Going to be Luke Schoonmaker. Very intrigued about this one because this is a tricky one. We've already seen Jake Ferguson deal some damage on offense. We've already seen him do that thing where he hurdles a defender or ukes a defender and then earns a ridiculous amount of yards after the catch. He was one of the best tight ends in the NFL in yards after the catch per reception. He didn't have a lot of those because he only played in about 40% of the snaps last year. But still, he made an impression. So it's not going to be a job that Luke Schoonmaker is going to take out of nowhere. So, truth or false, Schoonmaker is going to end up as the starter throughout the season. Later on, says Chris Graham. Rolando says false. Bruce says false. He is a first rounder and going to be starting, says Gregory. Maybe you meant Masi, though. I think so. Ferguson says Rolando. House says false. Ferg, daddy ain't going to be trifled with. False for Katharina. El Tino goes with number 1 tight end is Schoonmaker. Big 3 is Chris. False for Sebastian. False for Kenny. Man, there's gonna be a lot of controversy around this one. Nathan goes with false. I'm gonna go with truth. I am getting higher and higher on Luke Schoonmaker. Now, I love Jake Ferguson. We went over the athletic numbers though last night, and I think there's something about Schoonmaker that this team really likes. So I think he's going to end up as the very slight starter because I think he's going to have closer to a 50% snap mark when it's all said and done. Now, in my opinion, this is the heavyweight battle of the offseason. Like, this is going to be the main event for the Cowboys, because I really think it's going to be up for grabs, and it's going to be up to them to earn the job. I don't think that Schoonmaker has it because he's a second rounder, and I don't think that Jake Ferguson has it because he was there before. I think the Cowboys are really going to say, okay, fight for the job, fight to be the starter. And no disrespect to Peyton Hendershot or no disrespect to Sean McKeon, but this battle is going to be between those two. It's going to be between Luke and it's going to be between Jake. Those are the two guys that can walk away from this with the starting job. Now, I also do not think that it will be defined before the season. I think it's going to be close to a 50-50 split over the first few weeks. And then maybe in October, maybe even in November, we see Schoonmaker take over the job. We'll see. We'll see. But that's one of the most interesting ones. Chris Graham says Princeton Fant versus Hendershot. Okay, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. We're doing the 53-man roster projection tomorrow night. It's done. Like I've already done it. I already have it in my Google Sheets ready to go. But I got to say, the tight end room can get pretty interesting because Chris is saying, hey, what about Fant versus Hendershot? But also, what about McKeon? Does he have an argument to make in there? And I mean, I'm just maybe spoiling the show a little bit for tomorrow night. But the tight ends might also have to be concerned about the fullback because one of them running backs can take one of those spots. Bro, 53-man roster projections are fun. That's my addiction. That's my addiction. I'm not going to lie. You guys know it. I do a lot of those during the offseason. We're having the first edition now, post NFL draft. It's going to be fun. It's going to be pretty fun. Run a bunch of power eye and misdirection to open up TP and Deuce's blue daps. Yeah, there's going to be, we're going to get to Deuce Vaughn tonight, what his role is going to be like. But before we get to Deuce Vaughn, though, the next one, in my opinion, is the trickiest one. Linebacker, the Marvion Overshown. That is a pretty odd one because the team might be a lot higher on him than we are because he's a Dan Quinn type player. And what makes it even trickier is that what is exactly the plan for him? What does Dan Quinn want to do with him? Does he want him to be a regular second-level linebacker, or is he going to be one of those hybrid positionless players for the defense? So what do you think? Let me know in the chat. What do you think is going to be the Marvion Overshown's role when it's all said and done for the Dallas Cowboys? Are you high on his potential participation, or are you low? Now, there's a big thing about the Marvion Overshown that I got to say. But before I get to that, let me talk to you about our friends over at FreemanMazda.net because the ride of the week is here. And as always, we need to talk about the family-owned business that has been so for over 65 years. That is Freeman Mazda. You can see their wide range of new and used vehicles over at their car dealership in Irving, Texas. Or you can go to their website, and in there, you can see the features of every car. You can see pictures of the outside and inside of the vehicles. And as always, we do have the ride of the week over here on ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. In this case, it is the new 2023 Mazda MX-5 Miata RF Grand Touring. It starts at $38,815. It's got Apple CarPlay / Android Auto. It's got a manual transmission. It's got a convertible roof, premium audio for you to listen to ADC Sports Dallas Primetime when you're in it, a blind spot monitor, and a miles per gallon capacity of 26 when you are in the city. That goes up to 34 when you are in the highway. So make sure you check it out over at FreemanMazda.net. So what do you think about Overshown? Let's get to that here. What do you think about Overshown? I'm going to give you my prediction for him. Hybrid linebacker safety, says Gregory. Chris says it's spy for running backs, running quarterbacks, trying to exploit that explosion. Safety linebacker hybrid, says Nathan. Brink overshown in on blitzes. This I would be very intrigued about, even if it's like mucked up over the center type blitzes. Because as I said on Sunday, I witnessed Dan Quinn turn Leighton Van Der Esch into a factor in some of their pressure packages. Not because of his pass rushing skills, just because of the threat of a linebacker being involved in some of those designs. I could see Overshown taking that to the next level. But then how do you keep that from being predictable, right? And dangerous with a player that is maybe not fully developed from a vision point of view and a technique point of view, reaction time, all of that, mental processing. Sebastian says read and react linebacker. Let's see here. I say low for that one. It's a tricky one. I'm going to assume that he's a linebacker, even though I do think the Cowboys have a Jaron Kears succession plan going on there. For now, I think it's going to be a linebacker. And the Cowboys had Leighton Van Der Esch, and hear me out. Leighton Van Der Esch played 65% of the snaps last year, with Anthony Barr coming in at 53%. And then Damon Clark at 34%. And just to give you an idea of Jaron Kears, he was at 71% on his particular role. My point here is Anthony Barr is gone, so Damon Clark is probably going to step up as the starter opposite of Leighton Van Der Esch. At least that's what I think. And maybe Overshown can get in there, like maybe earn 30% of the snaps, 20% of the snaps, a backup at the end of the day. And this is obviously assuming like there will be injuries at some point of the season. There will be some key absences. But here's where Overshown kind of becomes a more important player than many realize. The Cowboys have to replace 77% of special team snaps because Luke Gifford is gone. Luke Gifford is out of here. And I think that Overshown kind of gives them the opportunity to replace that production. Now, let me say something too. Gifford was so important that he played in more snaps than even CJ Goodwin did last year. And it was 2 consecutive years too for Luke Gifford kind of leading the way for the Cowboys on special teams. So there's a massive hole in there, and maybe the Cowboys knew that and they decided, you know what? Let me get in there and add a linebacker that can contribute immediately as a special teamer. And I think it's going to be huge because of that. But he's also going to be waiting for that opportunity to get on the field. I don't know when that comes, if he will be the linebacker that many would make him out to be just yet, because I do think he's likely going to need some time to fully develop as an NFL defender. Because as many people have pointed out, you do see him struggle a little bit versus offensive linemen, and you do see him make some mistakes on tape when it comes to, where he should be at. He can get there. That is not the question. He's got the athleticism, the explosion, the speed to get there. But can he know where he needs to get consistently? Because that wasn't really the case over at Texas, and that's what made him be a third-round draft pick. Let's see here. Katara says, Overshown will light up some offense with no problem. Clark will be much better, says Chris. Man, the thing about Clark and the reason why I got to give him the edge over Overshown is I've seen Clark, and I was impressed with him last year. And that was with no offseason work. That was I healed at the middle of the season, and I'm being thrown to the wolves. And he was thrown to a significant, amount of playing time because there were some injuries there that kept him on the field. That's how he took the field at first. So even though, he was a 5th rounder and then you're comparing him to a 3rd rounder, etc., keep in mind, Clark was supposed to be a top 50 talent on last year's class, but the back injury kept him from that. So Clark, I do think he likely has a better mm, standing. I think would be the word within the team. Gregory says, good point, Mo. Let him lay the wood on special teams. I'm up for that. I'm up for giving the Marvian some time. Joel Wilson says, Jalen Tolbert should be cut. I got to tell you, that definitely sounds like a possibility, in my opinion. It needs to play out during training camp, of course, but if the Cowboys see no progress there, then what are you doing? Move on. Hopefully, they do see progress, though. Hopefully, a different version of Tolbert shows up. There are some other guys that we need to get to, and I won't go into a lot of detail for them, but let me talk about them as well. Viliami Fehoko is a very tough one. Defensive end. He's going to walk into a loaded room, but I don't see the Cowboys cutting him. He's a 4th-round draft pick, and they like their draft picks. I do not see them considering moving on from a guy they just took in the 4th round. I just don't see it. So I think that Fehoko makes the team. However, you go over the snap counts. It's so tough to find him a spot. Listen, Micah played in 80% of the snaps because I'm considering Micah a defensive end. D-Law played in 60% of the snaps. Armstrong, 47%. So Armstrong still has a significant role within the team. And then you have Sam Williams, whose role should only increase moving forward. He had 4% of the snap counts. That's going to go up. That is going to go up. And then Fowler had 30% snap count. I struggle to see where Fehoko fits in. Is he good enough for you to move on from, say, Dante Fowler, who you didn't pay that much? He's not. I don't think that he's going to compete really with Sam Williams and Armstrong. I think he might compete with one of the better ends. But still, Fowler played more time than Sam Williams did last year. They pretty much played the same times, the same snaps, but Fowler had the slight edge. That being said, I think that Fehoko is likely going to make the roster, but he's likely going to be, while possible, one of the healthy scratches of the team. I don't know how much we'll see of Fehoko. Now, if you put him at tackle, as Anthony suggests here, because Anthony says, I think that they'll make Fehoko a tackle and put some weight on. Jeremy also says he will play 3 tech. And that's kind of that also kind of makes sense. But then again, that's also kind of a loaded group. Maybe you move on from a surprise name. I don't want to say it's a surprise because he was inactive during the playoffs, but you would have to move on from maybe Neville Gallimore. I personally consider Chauncey Golston a defensive tackle, so because they put some weight on him too, and he has played well for Dallas when he has played. So Fehoko faces kind of an uphill battle. I think that Fehoko is the first guy that I really see as a question mark to be active during game days. They say it might be a chance Sick may return to Dallas, says Katara. Gallimore is gone, says Jeremy. Man, Gallimore is a tough one. I don't know how all of that will play out. I think it was kind of telling that the Cowboys had him as an inactive player during the playoffs. But I'm not entirely sure if they're going to cut him. I think it's a good question. That I think he's one of the players that are kind of on the hot seat, and we will have a show about that at some point, maybe on Thursday or maybe next week. But that is on my notes, actually. But anyways, moving on, Asim Richards, the offensive lineman out of North Carolina. Straight up, I see him as a backup. I think all of us do. He is big. He is has the arms because they're 34 inches, so he can play tackle, he can play guard too. Maybe they can move him to both sides, so the Cowboys coaching staff is gonna like him. But that being said, I do not think he's gonna be an immediate starter. I do think he's gonna have a shot at playing time when the injuries take place. I do think there is a possibility that he beats out a Josh Ball, a Matt Waletzko type player, and earn the backup role. So could happen, but a backup for Asim Richards. That's got to be the role for him. That being said, we move on to a controversial one. Eric Scott Jr. The Cowboys traded up for him in the 6th round. Clearly, they like him enough to have done that. My question from me to you is yes or no, Eric Scott Jr. makes the 53-man roster? Because it's a loaded group of players, loaded group of cornerbacks. Does he or does he not make the roster? And let me see if I can open up really quickly my projection, not to show it to you because we're doing that tomorrow, but I would like to go over the cornerback room, right? You've got the obvious one. You've got the locks. Let's start with the locks. Diggs is a lock. Gilmore, 2. Dayron Bland, and I'm going to say Jordan Lewis is also a lock. Those are the 4 guys that, in my opinion, are strapped in. Kelvin Joseph and Sean Wright are kind of tough. Maybe one of them makes it. And I'm not counting CJ Goodwin for obvious reasons. But maybe Wright, Joseph, and Eric Scott Jr. are fighting for the final roster spot. I don't see them going long at cornerback. Like, I don't see them carrying 6 cornerbacks because you're likely going to carry several tight ends too, because you use 3 tight ends a lot of the time. The 3 players that played the most snaps for you last year, or 3 of the 5 players that played the most snaps for you defensively were the 3 safeties: Hooker, Kears, and Wilson. The 3 of them were in the top 5 of your defensive players in snap counts. Yes or no, is he making the roster? Let's see what you say. No, he doesn't, Mo, says Katharina. Mike goes with no. Hey, shout out to Toxic Tom. He is here. Shout out to you, sir. All in takes is Joey Vela. Gilbert says yes, he does make it. Lewis gone after camp, says Rolando. I'm a little bit higher on Lewis personally. I think they like Lewis. But if you don't like him to play outside, maybe that's an issue, I guess. I hope Joseph is gone, says All In Toxic Tom. Dude is a total waste of time. That is a tough call with Joseph. Like, trying to put together the projection. Like, where are the Cowboys at with him? What do they think about the guy? I think he will outplay Gride, says Gregory. And Gride, like, he kind of had a shot at things last year, and he didn't really make it out. Right now, I'm going to slightly lean towards saying no, but Eric Scott Jr. definitely has a shot at the team. I'm going to go and say, you know what? No, I'm going to give him the practice squad spot and a potential call-up late in the season. Toxic Tom makes a good point. He says, I think this also depends if the staff views Easy as a cornerback. I personally do not think they see him as a cornerback. I think they see him as everything. Like, I think they see him as a nickel cornerback, and I think they see him as a safety. And if things hit the fan, then you can play him outside as well. But he's very versatile, and I think that the Cowboys really do appreciate that at this point. Damn it. Did the Yankees already lose? Oh, man, the Yankees are already winning 4-2. Boom. Boom. I just heard my phone buzz like crazy, and I had to check really quickly. Anyways, we're getting to one of the fan favorites now. What is going to be the role of Deuce Vaughn, the Kansas State running back, obviously beloved by the fan base before he even plays a down of football. His initial jersey number is going to be 42, which I personally hate. I think that 42 is not a number for a small running back, but hey, do what you want, Deuce. Do your thing. What, man, I'm not gonna ask you if he's gonna make the roster because that's too easy. Is Deuce Vaughn gonna be running back 2 or running back 3? Let me know in the chat. Third down running back, says Sebastian. Nah. Oh, third down. Oh, yeah. I understood 3 down running back, and I was like, oof. And even third down, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the pass pro. Running back 2 or running back 3, let me know in the chat. El Tino goes with 2. 2 for Deuce. Mr. Stewart says Darren Sproles were 43. That is true. I can see that now. I can see that. That's a good point from Mr. Stewart. Deuce, says Jack. Deuce, second running back. Jeremy goes with Deuce is running back 2 for sure. Running back 2 for Katharina. That is a tough one, man. That is a tough one. And I struggled with this a lot. I gave him running back 3. I'm sorry. I gave him running back 3. I try to keep it as real as I can. Here's how the Cowboys snap counts were divided last year between Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, and then Malik Davis, who barely played. Zeke had a 48% snap count. Pollard had a 49% snap count for the Cowboys. And Davis was at around 6.80, something like that. Dumb number. But anyways, Pollard's workload is going to increase, right? Pollard's workload is likely going to go up somewhere around the 60% mark. That leaves you with 40%. If you're keeping it simple, or maybe say 50% for Pollard, keeping it conservative, 50 to 55, something like that. I see Malik Davis or Rico Dowdle, whoever wins that particular battle, as the number 2 guy. Honestly, just based on the body. I know how good of a playmaker Deuce Vaughn is, but I don't know if you're going to give him a significant workload. I'm going to guess that Deuce is going to start as running back 3, at least at first, while he kind of maybe develops even as a blocker. Because pass pro is always an issue too. And I've talked about this at length here on Primetime before when we were in the thick of the Pollard-Zeke debate. But many people will say like, hey, keep Deuce Vaughn in when you're going to throw the football or when you're going to throw it to him, and then keep Zeke in. No, the debate was something like that, right? You do remember that. People said that Zeke was the better blocker, so you had to get him on third down because he was the better pass blocker, and Pollard could do damage as a receiver, so that was the argument for him. My point here is you don't get to choose as an offense what the running back is going to do pre-snap. Like, he's going to go through a reading because he's part of your pass protection. So he's going to see if the linebacker is coming or not. And then if he isn't, he's going to release on a route. But if he is, he's going to stay and block. So a lot of the times, defenses are going to dictate what your running back does on a passing situation, right? And I got to say, I don't feel great about his prospects there as running back 2. So I'm going to go with running back 1, obviously Pollard. Running back 2, probably Malik Davis, maybe Rico Dowdle. And then running back 3, give me Deuce Vaughn. And don't slip on the fullback. We're going to get to that in a little bit here. And actually, we're going to kind of go quickly here too. Last pick, Jalen Brooks. I see him being cut personally. Like, that would be my prediction. He's got the size and he's got the 50-50 ball skills. People have been tweeting a lot about that. I just don't see where he fits in. I don't see where he fits in for the Cowboys. And there's also, Drummond, Houston, Fehoko, those not rookie guys that are going to be fighting for a spot too in this year. And then you also have the obvious one, which are Lamb, Gallup, Cooks. Tolbert is going to be fighting maybe too for his roster spot. Kevontae Turpin might take up one of the spots. Let's see what happens with Jalen Brooks. But right now, I wouldn't add him in my 53-man roster projection. I didn't do it, actually. As I said, it is done. We're going to go over it tomorrow here on the show. Looking forward to that. That being said, there are two undrafted free agents, and we're not going to go into the film or anything like that. I just wanted to mention this. There are two undrafted free agents who we need to watch out for just by following the money. But Doug Kidd from ADC Sports put an article together of the highest paid UDFAs of this season. And the Cowboys had two guys in the top 10. And that is fullback Hunter Lipke from North Dakota State. He had a signing bonus of $20,000, but he was guaranteed $200,000 by the Cowboys. So watch out for him. If you follow the money and you know what Mike McCarthy is up to with his offense, Hunter Lipke sounds like a guy to me that it would be a surprise if he isn't on the roster. I keep seeing these tweets and these comments about, people saying that, oh, watch out for Lipke. He might make it. He might be a surprise. I think at this point, it is a surprise if he doesn't make the roster. Because as I said, McCarthy likes fullbacks. I don't think that McCarthy is going to want to have a fullback-less offense. And the Cowboys used fullbacks too, but they used random guys as fullbacks. They would have Luke Gifford in there. They would have Connor McGovern in there. They would have random players. We'll see. Watch out for Hunter Lipke. I think he can make the team. Now, there's another UDFA, though, that was guaranteed the same amount of money. No, actually $20,000 more, because he had $220K guaranteed, plus a signing bonus of $20K. That's the same number for that than it was for Hunter Lipke. Errol Bostic out of Kansas. He had a high relative athletic score. He was 9.4, I believe, something like that, but it was pretty high. Long offensive lineman, tall as heck. Watch out for him. In fact, he was, let me give you the measurables. He's 6'6", 34-inch arms, and this is Dane Brugler's note on him. Overall, Bostic moves with his light quickness and athletic body control expected of a former tight end, because he's a former tight end, but his play strength and timing are not currently on an NFL level, especially in the run game. He has developmental tools that will give, an NFL team optimism. So watch out for Bostic potentially making the team. And, there's Terrence Steele precedent. Mike McCarthy carried him as a UDFA in 2020. They might like Bostic a lot. And those two players were in the top 10 of UDFA players in terms of guaranteed money for them via Doug Kidd, who used NFLPA data. You can check out that article over at ADC Sports, by the way. We have not had a true fullback since Kevin Smith, Jalen Smith's brother, since Anthony. The disrespect for Ryan Nall. Nah, I'm kidding. I know what you mean, Anthony. Actually on the roster. Chris Bostic, excuse me. Hunter Lipke is an absolute football player and athlete, says Mike. I watched him play at North Dakota State for 4 years. The thing about Lipke is that he can be a legit receiving threat. He is a fullback that can generate these matchup problems. And it's one of the beautiful theories of football. What do you do, right? If you have Lipke there as a fullback, but he can also be a pass catcher, are you putting a safety on him? Are you putting a linebacker on him? It's not easy. It's not easy to decide this type of stuff. The 49ers do a great job with Kyle Juszczyk, and if the Cowboys can do 20% of that, I'm glad. I'm ecstatic about the Cowboys having that fullback. I think at this point, it is a surprise if he doesn't make the roster, as I said. But anyways, before we get out of here, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the one cool thing of the week. For those of you who are new to the show, excuse me, this is where you get to share one cool thing of your week. It can be something personal, professional, sports related, non-sports related, whatever you want it to be. We do this every single Tuesday, and it is our random feel good segment of the show. So go ahead and give me your one cool thing of the week. Mr. Stewart says, I'm interested in Princeton fan. I talked about Princeton fans on Sunday. I'm with you, Mr. Stewart. I am with you. He could be a surprise member of the roster. Yankees is Mark Aaron. That is his one cool thing of the week. Man, the one reason why that has not hurt as much is the fact that I've been immersed in the NFL draft coverage stuff, pre-draft, during the draft, and even post-draft. So it's been kind of a whirlwind for me. I have not looked at the outside world, and that includes baseball. But I'm aware. Joey Vela says, one cool thing, Mauricio, being the first one to tell you, feliz cumpleaños, con permiso. It's not my birthday, guys. Memphis Grizzlies are playing golf, says El Tino. Gregory says, my Dodgers are back in first place in the NLW. Double R, I don't know if I should read that one. Double R just shared a one cool thing. That's all I'm going to say. Jack says, I love Deuce Vaughn already. Merry Christmas, says Bill. Love your show. Thank you, Bill. Merry Christmas to you, too. Found out I will be a grandma for the 7th time, says Katharina. Boom. Congratulations to you. By the way, Joker should have won MVP. Hey, maybe so. Yeah. Congrats, Anthony. Hey, thank you. I know that's to Katharina, of course. I'm already saying thank you out here. My one cool thing of the week, man, is that was my first NFL draft full-time, covering the NFL full-time. It was absolutely fantastic. I couldn't be any prouder of the team at ADC Sports. It was a marathon. I barely slept on Thursday. I barely slept on Friday, on Saturday, but I loved it. I absolutely did love it. And things might, get calmer a little bit here over the next few days, but I loved the marathon aspect of it. It was so fun, so excited. I'm not going to say names because I might miss somebody, but everyone at ADC Sports was absolutely fantastic. So I appreciate them if they are watching this show. It was awesome. Now, let's get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining the show. I appreciate you. And as always, do me a favor and hit the like button for me. Share the stream. Every thumbs up, though, puts this show in front of more and more Cowboys fans. So you would do me a big, big favor. And I will see you tomorrow night. 53-man roster projection. Who's making the team? Who's not making the team? We'll dive into all of it. And it's going to be fun. I promise you it's going to be fun. Thank you. And I will see you el día de mañana, 8 de la noche, prime time, brought to you by our friends over at FreemanMazda.net. Check it out. Bye-bye.